Good evening. Welcome to another Monday with conversations from a masterful raconteur. I'm going to try to keep it short and simple today. Today is a special day for a whole lot of people. Um, Martin Luther King celebration, really, really wonderful day. I want to salute everybody who has celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King in whatever way that you have. It's really nice to take some time in your own way to honor his legacy. There's a lot of people like me who I don't actually get out and do the march. I'm proud of the march taking place, but I'm one of them that, for personal reasons, I can't walk that distance these days. But really admire those who get out and can physically do that. But I was thinking about what I want to talk about yesterday, and then I came up with a couple of different topics that I want to talk about. And then this morning, I happened to see this picture of Dr. Martin Luther King, and that picture just hit me kind of deep, And I was looking at the picture thinking, who were these men? I don't know if history ever pegged who these actual men are. That you can see two of them got their hands on him right then, probably pummeled him quite well. And I'm sure there was more on that scene. That's pretty ugly, And, it just made me think about, what it must be like to be in a situation like that, a situation where it's fueled off of racism and hate. And in addition to the racism and the hate, the fear of what his actions and the actions of those that was marching with him, the fear of what it would accomplish, just, just a really, really stupid, evil, chaotic mindset and set of emotions for the people who would do something like this. Isn't it kind of crazy that you would take some people who would be so evil as to dominate a group of people like this, black people, to mistreat them so bad, and yet at the same time count on them to make their life better. That's a level of ignorance that I don't know if anybody can really accurately explain it. There's a lot of things we can say to express it and attempt to explain it. But anytime you need somebody to do this and that for you, and to help you make money and to help your life be comfortable and better, and you would just abuse these very people like that, that is about as stupid and ignorant as it gets, But yet, Martin Luther King, along with a whole lot of others, man, they dealt with it. They dealt with it. Me personally, while I've always had a lot of admiration and love and respect for Dr. Martin Luther King, personally, I was always a Malcolm X focused kind of a guy. I just wouldn't want to be beaten and mistreated like that, and submitting to it. If it happens only because there just ain't nothing I can do about it. But to throw your hands up and say, have your way, beat me down, just think about that, man. I guarantee you there's probably nobody hardly anybody, if there's somebody, there's hardly anybody that's watching me right now that can honestly say that they can sit back, not sit back, but they can allow somebody to beat them down like that. I shared with you all a story a few months ago where when I was in the military, I got jumped by these guys. There's probably a good 10 of them. And they beat me up pretty good. You know, I couldn't beat 10 guys. And but I was young and my body was a lot tougher and stronger. And that's an experience that I think I'll never forget, you know. Um and I remember right now exactly how it happened. I can see it in my mind. But being young, they actually did not physically hurt me. I felt all the kicks, I felt all the punches, and it was like all of them was having fun, trying to get their lick in, and they got me. They got me, and the guys I was with, they weren't around, so I was by myself, and so I took that whooping. You know, I got one of them back in the end, and that's the difference between between me and the Martin Luther King. See, Martin Luther King, he took a far worse whipping. I was reading something this morning too, where they said Martin Luther King had a sense of humor, and it was in some situation where they were getting ready to march, and um, Martin Luther King said the police was coming, and Martin Luther King told the people that was marching with him, said, "Well, looks like we're gonna go to jail, but at least we'll have some food to eat tonight." Now that sounded funny, but when you think about it, what was the circumstances uh, at that particular time for him to say such a thing? Pretty sure ain't nobody watching me right now would want to experience something like that, or you know, that's some heavy stuff to have some evil ass folks who just hate you because of the color of your skin, and they fear what you're going to accomplish by marching and bringing all this national attention that's going to interrupt some of the hateful ish that they do on a regular and did at that time on a regular basis, which we know a lot of it is still going on right now. But the fear of the Martin Luther King and the march and the agenda of it all interfering with their daily practice, that coupled with the hate and how in the hell they can get angry, you know, is beyond me. But all of that goes into these beatdowns that Martin and the rest of the marchers had to experience and endure. And that's just a really, really deep, heavy thing to really process, because even when I was young, I couldn't have dealt with that. I'm so thankful that I was never in a situation like that. Now, at the age that I am now, you know, I certainly physically would not want to put my body through something like that or have something like that happen to me. But when, you know, looking at today being the holiday that we acknowledge and recognize the late Dr. Martin Luther King, I find it fitting for me to in this way celebrate him through my podcast here. You know, I like to talk about a lot of different stuff, and this is certainly fitting because It's his actual holiday. And but I just I like to say things that prompt people to think, to really think. Every now and then you touch somebody, and you'd be surprised at the people who you actually touch. And you got some evil people that this stuff goes over their head, or it might even fuel that their anger and their evilness. But nevertheless, history is what it is, and I always too like to think about and consider those people, excuse me, whose names we may never know. You see them in the pictures of the civil rights movement and stuff. Those people, you see the pictures of the dogs uh, being sicked on people, and you see all the people in the background. You see the pictures of the firemen with the hoses spraying these people down. All these people contributed to the celebration of Martin Luther King Jr. And we may never know their names, you know, but I salute them and their families just as much, because so many times we get caught up into the head figure, the central figure, the main person. Of course, Dr. Martin Luther King is dear to all of us, but he didn't do that by himself. And we know other names like Jesse Jackson and so forth, Ralph Abernathy, and um, all of those people who was in his close circle. But there was also these people who were behind the scenes, writing the speeches, helping to plan the marches, doing the strategic process, doing the research, and all of that. And a lot of these people, most of us don't know who they are, and we very rarely hear their names. And I'm sure they have family, that says, "Hey, look, my family was a part of this. My uncle, my daddy, my sister, my grandmother, my cousin, they were a part of this thing too," and they, you know, so, we have to remember that this thing it was huge. And thank God that Martin Luther King, he spearheaded it, and he was who he was, and he did what he did. And we benefited quite a bit, and we still benefit quite a bit. But then when you look at what's going on right now in 2026, which didn't start just in 2026, it started with the next administration. They're doing everything they can to strip down and dismantle and really just ruin so much of the successful works that was done by the civil rights movement. And it's crazy how they use a different uh, messaging, as we call it, phrasing, to try to justify and explain what they're doing. If you're trying to get rid of civil rights, that's what you're doing. You can say it however fancy you want to do. You want to say that uh, the history, Black history, like you want to get rid of Black history, but the way you phrase it and say it, it's really crazy how they so strategically do this, because there's a new generation of people who don't even know much about history and don't care to research it, that they will buy into this new phrasing, and as if it's normal stuff, and as if it makes sense. And the one thing that I want to say to Black leaders, um, especially if this post, this podcast, if it could circulate enough to reach Black leaders. Look, I get it. If you have a contract with MSNBC, CNN, any of the major news networks, I get it. You're getting paid, and you're getting paid some money that you're satisfied to get. So you can't say a lot of different things. But I'm so sick and tired of y'all leaders who are reaching millions, hundreds of thousands of people, reaching the masses of the Black community. And all you do is talk about what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, as if you're not intelligent enough to have ideas, at least, for solutions. You know, the art of advertising is to create a message and keep that message, repeated in the minds of the customers and potential customers. That's why you see companies like Coca-Cola and State Farm Insurance who are already successful, and they still spending millions of dollars advertising, because they want to keep you recognizing them, hearing their message, so that you can continue to be a customer, and that they can have the potential to gain more customers. And so the art of that, when you look at what a lot of our so-called Black leaders are doing, you keep complaining about what the Trump administration is doing, and it's not. And all you do is you cause regular, normal, everyday people to repeat that stuff. But while we're repeating all of these complaints that we have, we should be expressing solutions or potential solutions. That's how you get better results. You have to stop complaining about what the problems are, and you have to start offering solutions. And it does not matter if it's a perfect solution or if it's a solution that is actually doable. Just at least start offering some solutions so people in their everyday conversations can begin to start talking about, what if we did this and what if we did that, as opposed to, oh, they doing this to us, oh, they taking that away from us. Got to be able to change the narratives. And if you call yourself a leader, and if you call yourself a leader that represents the Black community, and you don't accept where I'm coming from, I'm here to tell you right now, you're not a true leader for the Black community. And if you're working for a major network as a journalist in some capacity, and you're making $1 million a year or more, I get it. You don't want to mess with your money. I don't want to take no food off of your table. But I'm here to tell you, you are doing us a disservice. And it's very calculated, because your boss is going to tie your hands up and get you to keep us where we are just basically numb, or our the foundation of our potential is kind of nullified or stagnated. And that's all you're really accomplishing. People have to start a different narrative that has to do with potential. It has to do with solutions that can be considered or are realistic to carry out. And if you don't agree with that, you are not in the best interest of the Black community. I'm here to tell you that right now. Take it or leave it. So I'm going to leave it alone. Martin Luther King, we salute you on your special day. And before I go, I want to tell y'all, man, this past Saturday, the band that I happen to be the director of is called Florida's Own Band. Man, we are pretty damn good. And we just got a couple of new members, and we did our first show this past Saturday in Dunellen at the 900 Club. And it was better than I expected. I mean, like, it was really, we were really good, and people are talking about us, in a positive way. I want to send a shout out there to my boy Al Williams, who be singing and blowing the hell out of that sax. Our new drummer, Judah Harris, Yashar Harris. Like, it was just the four of us. We got up there. We turned that mother out. Yeah, we did, man. We're pretty doggone good for four people. And so, being that we're just now getting this band situated, we a lot of Martin Luther King celebrations and stuff like that. and even possibly a lot of Valentine's Day events where people are interested in bands. You may have already booked, but just keep us in mind for what if you get a cancellation, um, something like that, and you need a band on short notice, we're able to step right on in and do it. And hopefully, next MLK celebration will be available for you to book us for that occasion. But if you're doing a family reunion, a class reunion, birthday parties, you know, any kind of special occasion where you want some good music coming from some experienced talent, that we specialize in old school R&B in particular, jazz and blues, you need to give me a call, okay? And also, don't forget to go to bbinging.com and watch my new movie, SheDaPlaya. It's a comedy movie. It's really, really good. Bbinging is spelled BBINGN.com. I'll repeat that, BBINGN.com. And I would really appreciate it if you would watch the movie, watch my other content, and support uh, what I'm trying to do. It'll cost you only $2.99 for 30 days, 24/7 to watch everything that I got on there. And I have some really good content. So spread the word. And on February the 21st, we will be back in Dunellen doing another show. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Google the 900 Club in Dunellen. I don't have the address memorized. I should have wrote it down and had it right here where I could tell you, but you can always inbox me here on social media, excuse me, for that information. Also, Gainesville, Alachua County, surrounding areas, we're going to be bringing the Florida Storm Comedy Tour to the Cotton Club on March the 21st. Okay, we're going to probably kick that off at 6 o'clock. So that's a really, really good show, and I'm very, very proud of it. And you're going to get a chance to get your laugh on with some very, very talented comedians and enjoy the sounds of Florida's own band. So I'll be telling you more and more about that. And yeah, MLK, salute you. Thank you for everything you've done. Hopefully somebody in your family, people who love you and appreciate you, can appreciate what I'm doing right now and honoring and saluting to you. Florida's own Barry S. McLeod. I'll see you next week. Truly the right kind of different.